You're listening to the Non-Del Influencers Podcast, brought to you by First Funding. Join host Matt Coles as he delivers powerful conversations to help non-delegated lenders succeed and scale in today's market.
Welcome back to the latest Non-Del Influencers Podcast. I'm Matt Coles, National Sales Manager with First Funding. Super lucky to have Mr. Jon Tallinger with Class Valuation's Chief Growth Officer. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. It's another day in paradise over here. It's starting to warm up a little bit in Michigan, so people around here. I think we feel like we earn the good weather when it gets there after all the tough months. So it's getting nice around here.
Well, for those that don't know, Jon, I think you might be my favorite Instagram follower or follow because I get to see all the cool golf courses you get to play. I do have to say, I just got back from Wolf Creek out in Las Vegas. You got a chance to play that one before?
I have not. I've heard great things though.
It's a must. And where did you go last year up in Canada? Was it Cabot? Tell me a little bit. That was what it was, right?
Cabot was really cool. It's in Nova Scotia, and there's two. There's Cabot Cliffs and Cabot Links, two phenomenal, top 50 in the world courses, and they've really nailed it. 12 of us went. Kind of had two teams of six, for a couple industry guys, but all friends of mine for a while. And it really feels like you're in Finland or
awesome.
It definitely does not feel like you're in North America, but it was great. The golf was great. The food was great. They catch the lobsters like right out of the bay there and serve them up to you. And it was a great guys trip. We had a really good time.
Man, those weekend golf trips are some of the best. We just got back from Black Desert, threw in some Wolf Creek. It was awesome trip. I do. It's nice to in this industry, to get blessed to be able to have those weekends every once in a while with the boys and get out, take the wives every once in a while to these nice resorts. It's always a good time.
Yeah, I'm working on getting the wife more involved. She's a really good tennis player. She played in college and she's like a 4.5 rated tennis player. But wow. She told me the other day, she's a really good she's a good athlete to begin with. But she's a good golfer. She's got a nice swing. But she told me, she said, hey, in the next 4 years, I want to win the club championship in golf. I'm like, wow, okay. So That means you got to get out and start playing with me, So.
Oh, that's impressive. That's a great goal to have. That's phenomenal. So, Jon, over at Class Valuations, you guys are in growth mode right now. Tell me a little bit about what's the latest with what you guys are seeing out in the marketplace on that side of things.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. I've been here for 15 years, and I started in an office like the size of this office, very, very small, and we kind of grew organically for years, and then really kind of cut our teeth in kind of became like the go-to appraisal company in the wholesale space, which was the tougher path. There's a lot of AMCs out there that like the bank clients and the retail, the centralized retail models, and they don't want to touch wholesale or touch the broker space. So we didn't really know any better. We got used to brokers and just the way they operate sort of out of the gate. Fast forward, we sold twice to private equity, once in 2018, once in 21. But the company that acquired us in 21 has been a phenomenal partner, and we've inorganically grown tremendously through acquisition. So we've done about, I think, 19 acquisitions now. We just closed on Appraisal Nation last week or a couple of weeks ago, and it's on paper those are really easy. Hey, this looks great. Let's see if this is a good fit, good culture fit here.
We're all doing appraisals, right?
Yeah, exactly. In reality, it's a lot of work behind the scenes, but we've been really fortunate. We've been able to really assemble a great team. And through a lot of these acquisitions, we've been able to pick up some really good people. Our COO, Andrew Bao, right now was at Chase for years, kind of running the vendor side. And he came from, another AMC and he's become a really key piece to what we're doing. The guy that runs our QC team, lady that runs escalations, all came through acquisitions. And so we've been able to really build a phenomenal team, not only pick up more clients. It's really allowed us to diversify. We went from being this kind of niche wholesale valuations provider to we have a bank segment now. We have a credit union segment. We have a private money segment, TPO, wholesale, correspondent side. The distributed retail piece, obviously massive. Work with companies like Cross Country and
Yeah.
it's become really, really fun and interesting. But we've had to do a lot of adjusting and adapting and learning on the fly, and all while trying to push forward and sort of drive positive change in the industry. The appraisal side of we're not done. We realize that the mortgage process as a whole is a pretty big process, and we know that the appraisal side is just one piece. It's just one piece in that process, but a lot of times it can be a pretty big piece. So working to try and find solutions that are going to help make that process more efficient, help get loans closed faster. So it's a never ending hamster wheel, Ron.
Well, you and I go back quite a ways, and I've had you on several of my sales calls back a previous life, and I always really appreciated your breaking down the new tech and what's new out in the appraisal world. So last time I think we talked, there was the bifurcation of the appraisal. I don't even remember what it was called. The realtor was being able to do something. Take me to the latest of what's happening in the appraisal world to make it even more efficient.
Yeah, I mean, we all remember 20, 21, 22 when rates were really low, and of course appraisals became a huge pain point for everyone in the industry. I mean, you went from 5-6 days across the country to get an appraisal done to you had markets like Colorado and Oregon and little pockets of California that all of a sudden you're 2, 3, 4 weeks out to get an appraisal done. And it really wasn't even about money at some points. I mean, you could go offer an appraiser in Oregon, $2,000 for an appraisal, and they were cool about it, but they were like, look, I don't know, get in line. Everyone's showing up at my door asking for the same thing. So it was sort of an inventory problem, just because the rates were so low. So the last couple of years has been really interesting because rates have been high. The purchase market's been sluggish for a bunch of different reasons. And really, I think it's not that people necessarily have forgotten, but appraisals just haven't been a problem for people for a while, which has been, I guess, a good thing, but it's also sort of slowed down adoption of progress and moving forward. We talked about hybrid, the bifurcated appraisal. Really, the appraisal piece of the process, the collateral side of the process, it's super antiquated. It's still for a year when I first got in the industry, 20 plus years ago, my brother-in-law owned a company, an appraisal company, and I worked for him. And I remember him telling me, oh yeah, in a couple of years, every appraiser is going to have a tablet, and they're not, they're going to, the photographs, everything's going to be digital. It's going to go up into the cloud, and we're going to be able to, generate these much faster. And there's been a lot of pickups in tech that have helped out, but you're still looking at, 90% of the appraisals we do today, and probably 90+% of the industry, it's the same old process. Appraiser picks up the phone, hey, Mr. Coles, I'm, Joe Smith, and I need to come do your appraisal, or call the agent and come walk through the house and measure and take pictures. That whole piece of it, I kind of equate it to, when you go to the dentist, and the way that appraisals for the most part still work today is essentially, if you were going to see the dentist, you call the dentist office, the dentist answers the phone, sets your appointment, you come in, he calls you in, he cleans your teeth, does everything, goes through the entire process, like if it was a one-man shop. And the reality is that's not how most industries work anymore. They have a receptionist, they have an oral hygienist that comes in. The dentist comes in, oral hygienist takes your x-rays. Dentist really only comes in for their highest and best use. What did they go to school for? What's their expertise? And that's really where the valuation side is headed. It's just much more efficient use of that time. So we don't really need the appraiser to go out to inspect your property anymore. We can send image capture expert or a non-appraiser. Not necessarily. I mean, it could be the agent in some circumstances. We kind of try to keep it away from someone who's got some stake, in the transaction. But we send the non-appraiser out, and they use tech that we have that captures all the data, it measures the property. It actually captures far more data than your traditional appraiser is going to get. And the appraiser never leaves their house. They don't have to leave their desk. All the data they need is captured, put up into the cloud. And when we engage the appraiser, they're able to turn that over much more quickly without having to drive all over town and do all that measuring. So that's where the industry's headed. We've been piloting that for years with a bunch of top lenders, sort of in, under NDAs, and it's been a long process really refining it. And somewhat quietly, Fannie and Freddie both put hybrid into policy over the past month. So it's there right now. Like, so when you're LO, whether you're retail or wholesale, when you pull your findings, it's generally going to tell you, unless you're getting an appraisal waiver, it's going to tell you, it requires a 1004 full appraisal. If you go a couple lines further down, it's going to tell you you're also eligible for the 1004 hybrid. But right now, it's just because appraisals are not really a problem for anyone. Most people are just saying, well, yeah, we're just going to go with the traditional appraisal. That's what we know.
Super interesting, right? Because you said it earlier, because of the rate environment and no one. Listen, the best thing about mortgage is that we forget what happened 2 years ago, right? Yeah. A lot of times. So you're saying what you're seeing from your seat is that the adoption of these new options isn't really taking off just because people are like, I got the time.
Yeah.
My appraisal's coming back in 3 days anyways. What's the rush? But I think that the key here would be, if you are planning, let's just say rates drop 0.5% tomorrow, and things blow up again, and all of a sudden you got more orders than you know how to shake a stick at. The originator that knows the different options that are available is going to probably be at an advantage compared to those that don't.
That's it. If you're in Sacramento and your appraisals today are taking 5-6 days, great. In Q3 of this year or Q2 of 26, whenever we see those rates, get under 6 or get to a spot where volume really starts to pick up. As we know, speed is never going to go out of style. It's always a huge piece of the mortgage process. And so if you're just used to getting those 5-6 day turn times, and then all of a sudden rates creep down and volume picks up, you're going to have appraisers pop up in all sorts of different markets where the turn times are going to creep 7, 8, 9, 10. So when a traditional appraisal's 10, 11, 12 days, and essentially the same end product, the hybrid appraisal is 5 days, that speed's going to be a huge difference. So I think that so many people right now, for good reason, I get it. If it works, don't fix it. But looking down the road and thinking about where we're headed, it's going to be more efficient. It already is. We've already proven that out. And then speed wise, everyone's going to be looking for what's going to help me. How am I compete? How am I going to be able to compete with this bank down the road that can close this faster than me right now? How can I cut a couple days off here and there? So that's where the industry's headed. We had, going into COVID, there was 39,000 appraisers around the United States. Today, there's 30,000. We've lost 8,000 or 9,000 appraisers. So even if the rates never get back, they're never going to get back to the 2s or 3s in our times, likely. But when we get into the 5s again, even low 6s, you're going to see different markets around the country that are going to start to have a strain on that appraiser population. So
what markets are probably going to feel that strain if those rates drop? Do you have an idea of where those markets are today?
We get glimpses, even when there's a little spike of activity with when we've had rates dropping the last year or so. You think about some of the states that have grown in population. You think about Tennessee. You think about, a lot of people have left some states like California, parts of Texas, parts of Florida, even Georgia. I mean, there's all sorts of states, but you never really know. So we can go add to that. We can. It's much easier to scale in going to find people that can go do the inspection piece than it is to go scale and add additional appraisers. It's very difficult to create new appraisers. So we need to find this whole thing. It's not about eliminating the appraiser. It's about optimizing the appraiser. So the appraiser who used to be able to do 2 a day, driving and going and seeing them all, now they can sit at their desk. Shoot, if they live in Michigan, they can actually move to Florida, stay licensed in Michigan, and still do the Michigan appraisals. it actually expands the the lifespan of the appraiser, being able to just do the analytical side and put the back end of the appraisal together.
So great segue, because oftentimes, being in this seat now as the national sales manager for First Funding for the last year and a half or so, when I talk about the broker to banker transition, one of the things that I like to highlight is owning the AMC relationship. And I think you do a really great job of also spelling that out. And so talk to me a little bit about how one of the things I just want to preface is, when I do talk about this, I say, you're more than welcome to the new non-del to go establish a relationship with any AMC that you want, right? You're the lender now. You can establish that relationship. Yeah. And they often looked at me like, well, I'm just going to rely on my investor partners for that. I said, okay. But at the end of the day, don't you think it's advantageous for them to set up a relationship directly with Class Valuations or any other AMC, so that they can be the ones having those conversations, be the ones to take the order, get the order done, own the order? I don't know, take me through a little bit through that process and how you're seeing it done successfully on the non-del side.
Yeah, I think we're always, no matter what, the smart players are always looking for efficiency. They're always looking for, what's gonna help to get me comfortable and get a process that's really repeatable. I would definitely say that. And there's so many, non-del, there's so many non-dels out there now, so many brokers that for years, were just using different wholesale lenders through the broker channel who have kind of moved up to the to the non-del space. It's first of all, I don't care if it's Class or anyone else. Find it. Don't just take the default that a lender is giving you. Go find what's going to fit best for you. Not right. Everyone is one size fits all. I mean, but certainly, when you have that option, that's one of the huge benefits of being non-del correspondent. You have more. You maybe taking on more risk. You have more opportunity. You have more ability to have some control, instead of each different lender you work with, using sort of a default that they have in place. Choose. I mean, you and I in sales, we say it all the time. It's a relationship business. So right. I can tell you, Class, what we've done is we've listened to broker and correspondent and lender feedback. What do you guys want? What's ideally, what do you want? And one of the first things we started hearing was, hey, when we call in, if I have a question on a file that you guys are handling for me, give me one point of contact. I don't want to call and get the receptionist and get routed to a team where I'm getting a different person every time. Give me one person, like give me Michael Holmes. Okay. So give me my dedicated AE, just like you have at the lender you work with.
Right.
The TPO lender you work with, you've got a dedicated AE that's going to, whatever you need, you're going to that's your go-to person. You might have your escalated people there that you have relationships with, but for the most part, every good every good correspondent, every good broker has their go-to AE at their lender they work with. You should have that at your AMC as well, who someone who knows how to actually is familiar with your account, familiar with the investors you work with, familiar with what you're looking for, how you want your account to be serviced. Do you want us to pull SSRs for you? Do you want us to deliver to the borrower every time? Do you want us to send a receipt of that? So, what does your panel of appraisers in this market look like? If you're doing a lot of manufactured homes, or if you're doing new construction, familiarize. Go get to know some of these AMCs. Figure out who's going to be the best fit for what for you to make your business scalable, and then try and push as much of your business as you can to that AMC that you're getting repeat, they're getting good service from. Make them earn it. So that's kind of where we're at.
Right. I mean, it's, like you said, it's a relationship business. The moving from the broker to banker and being a non-del correspondent allows you to own that relationship. And everything you just hit on is extremely important. So oftentimes what I get is they don't even know where to start. Like, how do I sign up with an AMC? You want to just take me through? I'm sure it's probably a pretty easy process for you guys. Take me through the process of getting connected and started.
Yeah, easy process, especially for a non-del. The onboarding process for a big lender, like for an AMC to get on board to get set up with a big lender, can take a long time. If it's a bank or it's one of a really, really large lender like a Rocket or a PennyMac, like that's going to take a long time to go through that vetting and onboarding process, integrations, all sorts of things like that. For a non-del, it's pretty simple. I mean, something we could have. We just one of them probably Tuesday last week. we connected with, and we had them up and running, placing orders by Wednesday or within a day or two. It's not difficult at all. And yeah, generally it's also, pricing. I mean, we can, a good AMC, and I can, speaking for Class, there's a lot of things we can do to customize that process.
Right.
We don't have to stick with, it's not a one size fits all of like, hey, here's our pricing, and if you don't like it, then maybe we're not the right fit for you. That's not really how it works. Just right now, I'm building a fee study for a big broker in Florida who is, probably in the next 3 months moving the majority of their business to non-del. And they said, look, we're primarily doing business in these 5 states right now. There's other states we're licensed in, but we're doing a lot of Texas deals that and our big producer down there does a lot of manufactured housing. What can we do to try and make it, some of these, you've got a $200,000 purchase on a manufactured home in West Texas, and the appraisal is like $850 or originally we think it's gonna be $750, then the AMC is coming back and asking for an extra $150. How do we control that? We have a borrower who's relatively low income, and this is a huge price tag for them. And so we're working with them, with solutions, pay as you go. We have a relationship with sort of a pay as you go type thing now, guaranteed pricing. So whatever the price is, whatever the price says that we have there, we'll customize it, and we're not going to come back and ask for anything additional. So there's all sorts of little things that you can do, with the AMC. Direct integrations. Right now, I had a broker who does about 50% of the business non-del come to me last week and said, hey, how can we put something on our site, like in our portal, where upfront, borrower go in and just get an idea on what the range of value of what their house is worth.
Right.
So we're not looking for an actual appraisal, but we're looking for something better than just going on Zillow or on Trulia or something like that. So yeah, we said, yeah, we can for a really small cost that we'll eat, we'll white label and we'll put it right in your portal, so they can go in there and it's going to give them a range. It's going to say, hey, based on all this data that we have, we feel that your house, and there's some disclaimers there, but it's probably between 440 and 465. So at least it gives them an idea, and that's a tool we can give them. It doesn't really cost us anything, but it makes them look that much better in front of their clientele, and it gives them that a higher chance to win that loan if they're being shopped against someone else.
Absolutely. And I want to put on my lender hat for a second. If I'm an account executive at a lender and I want to be calling on some non-del prospects, I'm bringing in, a Jon Tallinger. You got a great sales team around you as well. I'm bringing in the prospects to make these joint sales calls as well, because it's a win-win for everybody, right? And I always encourage our lender account executives to look outside of their traditional referral sources and say, hit the field with title, AMC, whatever it might be, because now as the lender, they're going to be able to own all of that. And that's just a great referral partner for yourself, I'm sure.
No, I totally agree. And that works both ways as well. I mean, that's the one thing you and I have talked about it before. I mean, there's a lot of things in this world I'm not great at, but one of them is I'm a connector. I'll connect people together. And if you're looking for something or you need something, like there's when you worked at Plaza for years, I mean, I ask you and hey, what are you guys looking for? And
right.
the regional that you worked with at Plaza, I'd ask them all the time, hey, what are you looking for? Where do you need AEs at? And I would just sort of connect them. Hey, I need someone in Arizona. I need this. So yeah, look for a partner that's going to actually try and give you something in return. Hey, if you have some, I tell these correspondents all the time, hey, if you have some agents in town that you're trying to impress, we'd love to stop in and do a lunch and learn, or have them out to your office. We'll sort of educate them on what some of the changes are, how they can better prepare their homeowner or their agents for a FHA appraisal, or how to make sure that the house is turnkey so they don't have to come back later for repairs and that sort of thing. That kind of partnership stuff we love doing. And that's what really helps, your generic LO go from just being another guy to being an actual thought leader that's adding value outside of just doing your loan and then never talking to you again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jon, I enjoyed our time together. thank you so much for the opportunity to sit down with you for a few minutes and just chalk it up and talk about the AMC process. I really do just want to end on this point that if you are moving from broker to banker, or are already a current established non-del, one of the most overlooked aspects is the ability for you to own that AMC relationship. And I'm really trying to encourage people to take ownership of that rather than just relying on the investors that are out there and their pool of AMCs that you're already working to. John, you hit it best. Find someone that works for you. I love the value add that Valuations is bringing to it. Class Valuations is bringing to it. So again, just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. We'll get on the golf course soon and maybe take some emerging non-dels with us and
Awesome. I appreciate it,
enjoy some time together.
Thank you, bud.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Non-Del Influencers podcast, powered by First Funding. For more resources and episodes, visit nondelinfluencers.com.